Beautiful, perfect weather, and hiding in this water some of the largest carp in Britain. However, they can rest easy today as this enthusiastic group have been distracted by the sunshine.
Can have a wander around first, mate, and then you can do a bit of filming.
This is the most glorious fishery. It's a privilege to be able to be here for the day. I mean, I cannot express in words just how beautiful this place is. It is so wild, it looks so natural, even though it's man-made. It is just a stunning fishery. It's full of wildlife, it's full of plants, it's full of weed, it's got some massive fish, but even if it didn't have massive fish, it is just a glorious place to be on a sunny day at the end of September. We're just so lucky. It's God-given.
But all this beauty is threatened by disease, by imports, by organised crime, by smuggling. Unbelievably, you're looking at carp with a street value of around £250,000, yet they were bought in France for just a few thousand. Huge profits outweighing most other forms of criminality, but at the moment the risks are low and the gains are high. So how did these fish, worth up to £20,000 each, end up dead on the concrete at customs? Well, the Fish Health Inspectorate is a small department tucked away somewhere in the corner of Defra. They're concerned with illegal fish because they carry disease. It can wipe out entire fish stocks, decimating lakes that have been nurtured for decades, and that can earn a small fortune for their owners. You see, European fish grow bigger than British ones, and the average British carp angler is passionate about catching the biggest, measuring it, photographing it, and putting it back to catch again. Back to Dover, and this consignment of carp was hidden inside a specially modified trailer, large plastic containers fitted with an oxygen tank.
No, just this one. No, it's low at the back.
Inside, very cramped conditions with fish of up to £55.
Very hard to investigate, and the punishment doesn't always fit the crime. But by this case, we've put a huge dent in the pockets of the criminal fraternity.
And this is what this illegal trade threatens. Ashmead Lake. It's only ever been stocked once with tiny English fingling carp back in the 1970s. Since then it's been carefully managed, and the small number of syndicate anglers who can fish here are jealously regarded by others in the sport.
You've got a very, very rich and productive environment. So there's lots of natural productivity, lots of food, lots of invertebrates. We've got swan mussels, there's lots of little fish that the carp feed on. Well, I'm a passionate angler and I'm a passionate conservationist, and the two go hand in glove with me very, very much. And the management of Ashmead is all about managing a natural environment in a very empathetic, sympathetic way. It's got some very, very large carp in the lake here, which is what anglers want to come and fish for. And it's that angler's money which really makes the wider management of the nature down here possible. It allows us to look after this site and to manage it for its wildlife potential. I see diseases as a threat to that, because if the carp here, God forbid, caught a disease such as SVC or KHV, it would wipe the stock out. It would stop not just fishing here, it would stop all of the wildlife management that goes on here as well.
Beautiful lakes like this one, threatened by the smugglers, by disease they import with illegal fish.
Well, the most dangerous thing about illegal imports is certainly the introduction of disease into this country, diseases that we don't have in this country, for example, SVC, spring viremia of carp. Historically, we've never had the disease in this country, but back in the 80s we had a lot of outbreaks linked to illegal imports. So the evidence is quite clear that that's a major risk. And certainly shipments of fish that we've seized, we have identified SVC. Not every time, but certainly we have. And we know that most European countries don't control the disease. It's gone beyond their value of control. They don't control it anymore. So that's probably one of our major concerns of illegal imports.
Spring viremia of carp, or SVC. Outbreaks occur between 7 degrees C and 17 degrees C, typically in the spring and autumn, and there's no known treatment. SVC is a notifiable disease in the UK. There's a legal obligation to report any suspicion of an outbreak to the Fish Health Inspectorate. If present, they'll advise on the most appropriate methods of control. Up to 100% of infected fish die. and it's widespread in continental Europe. Clinical signs vary but can include darkening of the skin, swollen eyes, abdominal swelling or dropsy, pale gills, trailing fecal casts and protrusion of the anus. Infected fish may be lethargic, show loss of balance and display areas of bleeding on the gills, skin and internal organs. It's important to note that one or more of these signs may be absent at any stage of the outbreak, especially during the earliest and very late stages.
Because most countries in Europe don't control SVC, they have no legal power to even legitimately authorise legal exports of fish to this country. So there is actually for most of Europe, there is no legal pathway of bringing fish in. So you hear lots of rumours of people saying, oh yeah, we're going to bring fish over, we've found a way. And it's, to be honest, it's probably rubbish, or they've been led up the garden path. But, there is generally, for most of Europe, no legal route of bringing in certainly carp or species that would carry SVC. In order for a country to allow an export, it must control that disease in the first place. If they don't, they can't. It's simple as that. So that's that.
If our carp stocks are wiped out, a lot of the tackle trade will probably disappear. The high street tackle shop will disappear because the demand for bait won't be there. A lot of fisheries will disappear and a lot of clubs will close because there won't be fish there that interest anglers any longer. I suppose if carp were to die or to be killed off through KHV or other diseases that are imported, then maybe another species would come along and capture the imagination of anglers. But at the moment, coarse fishermen are captured by carp, whether they're large 50-pound carp in lakes or small 2-pound carp in commercial pools. Everybody's fishing for carp.
So I see it as a huge threat to fisheries like this. I think it's a disease, and particularly illegal imports, where you have no control over the quality of fish coming into the country, obviously through illegal sources. I see those as one of the biggest threats to angling today, and it's threatening. That illegal activity is threatening a £3.9 billion industry potentially. That's what angling generates for the economy. But more importantly, it's the unquantifiable value that angling brings, both in terms of pleasure for the anglers and wildlife management on sites like this that's at threat. And I would do anything I can to prevent it continuing.
So who's going to stop them? Well, this man's been chasing down wrong-uns for decades in a long and varied career that saw him end up as a superintendent in the police before joining the Fish Health Inspectorate. He's helped uncover the serious organised crime networks that are getting involved with fish, and now he's building up information on their operations.
Well, what you'll get is you'll get these unscrupulous individuals that are running fisheries that have no interest at all in the fish or fish welfare. They will be running fisheries purely for monetary gain, and as I say, the welfare of the fish will be secondary.
I think Stuart's influence, CID background, it's a more intelligence-based approach, and I think that will work in the end. Certainly we're getting the new partnership with Crimestoppers has been reasonably effective so far, and I'm sure moving forward that will be the key to catching these guys that are involved in not only fish crime but many other crimes as well.
Crimestoppers are an independent charity helping to find criminals and solve crimes. They run the anonymous 0800 555 111 phone number. Callers don't have to give their name or any personal information, and calls cannot be traced. This means you won't need to appear in court or give a statement. This is your way of getting unpleasant people away from the sport.
People may be unaware of the level of criminality that's involved in the importation of live fish. We have recent information which suggests to us that organised crime groups are now becoming involved, and people representing organised crime groups are interested in buying fisheries, and fisheries is an excellent way for the criminal fraternity to launder money.
The profits are there. The people who are involved in the illegal trade in fish are fully aware of two things really: one, how much money they can make, and B, how low the risk currently is. And we need to make the trade unacceptable. We need to cut it at source really. We need to kill the demand for these large illegal imported fish, and at the same time, hand in glove with that, we need to put our efforts into catching the people who are engaged in the trade at the moment.
What we want to do is get that intelligence in the first instance, so we can develop that intelligence and target the right individuals. What we have been doing is we've entered into a new partnership with Crimestoppers, with other agencies such as ECHO and the Angling Trust supporting us with that. Crimestoppers is a tried, tested and also trusted organisation by the police, but more importantly than that, it's trusted by the public in general, and it is an effective tool and it works.
Makes me very angry. I don't think the penalties are high enough, but in the scale of things in the British justice system, I suppose they're as high as we're likely to get them. But I do take the view that ecological crime must raise itself up the scale of crime to become more and more important. As with the growth in population and with climate change, it's going to get increasingly difficult to manage wild environments, and if people are breaking the law and damaging those environments intentionally, they should face the full might of the law.
So what should you do? Well, if you want to save beautiful parts of the English countryside, such as this one, Stuart needs your help.
You know, if you have confidence and you're quite prepared to put your head above the parapet, then speak to the fishery owner or speak directly to us at Cefas, at the Fish Health Inspectorate. You know, if you want to protect your anonymity, and I can understand that people do want to do that, then ring the Crimestoppers number, 0800 555 111. You have complete anonymity, you won't be asked any personal details about yourself, you give that information, and that information is then passed to me, and I will develop that intelligence.
I don't understand anybody who can put their own self-interest above the interests of wildlife and our waters. I mean, I've been fishing since I was 4, which makes me 59 years an angler now. The joy I've had from simply sitting by water, whether I'm catching fish or not, is immaterial. Our waters are beautiful and they're relatively healthy. We have to maintain that health, and we have to constantly be on our guard to protect them. And it's no good, I mean, in the Angling Trust we fight polluters and we fight people who will damage our waters, we fight abstraction, we fight all the things that will damage our rivers. But while we're doing that and people are shipping illegal fish into ponds or into rivers, they are undoing a lot of the work we're attempting to do for the betterment of angling and the betterment of the fisheries.
Again, that's the reason for the Crimestoppers partnership. You know, the Crimestoppers number is there clearly for the angling community to report any information that could lead to anybody that's involved in this sort of criminal activity. And one guarantee we can give them now, particularly with Stuart involved, that we can act on that information immediately, whether it needs to be the police that get involved, the fish health inspectors themselves, or even the Environment Agency with the internal illegal movements. You know, we can get on top of everything very quickly, so anglers need to phone the Crimestoppers number.
I think the move now to enable Crimestoppers, to enable people to report illegal activity where they're aware of it, it's a key step forward. We need people to become engaged, we need people to care.
Considering the terrible effects these diseases have on the fish, on the lakes and on our natural habitats, now is the time to do something about it. Stuart Caton, the Fish Health Inspectorate, English Carp Heritage, the Angling Trust, the Fish Welfare Group and the fishery owners all have a message for the people that cause this misery.
We're coming after you. We will come and get you. No problem at all.